We're going to start right now. 3, 2, 1. Jumping!
Whappening.
Fuck! God damn it.
Why can't we do all three-way whappening?
I don't want to do a three-way whapping and just fucking start the podcast with you.
Here's the best thing. It's already started. Whappening, people. We're back. The podcast is back. And now it's got video. We're on YouTube, guys. This is very exciting. Okay. First and foremost, I have a very exciting announcement to make, guys. So, in the spirit of a new format, to reinvigorate this very dusty old podcast, I have decided to bring on a co-host.
Shut up.
It's that guy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's Karaminder Guman.
Hello.
That's it? That's what you got?
Hello.
All right, you said that already. And today's special guest in the podcast is Tony Taafe, a headshot photographer based in Arizona, right?
That's right, mate. Yeah.
Where in Arizona do you work at?
I'm going to be the first guest of the 4-hour-long podcast because of you two fucking waffling on.
Waffling, people.
Anyway, Tony, you're in Arizona. Where specifically?
Scottsdale, mate.
Scottsdale, Arizona, and that's fairly close to Los Angeles, right? You also do some work in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I do work in LA. Yeah, it's about an hour flight from LA.
Very cool. Very cool. And for those of you, I mean, for the viewers, the three of us speak regularly because we're all friends. And Tony, to me,
Speak for yourself.
all right, thanks. Such a good idea to bring you on. God damn it. Anyway, Tony has possibly one of the most inspiring backstories when it comes to being a photographer, I would say.
What? He was born to ginger.
No, that's not it.
So that's pretty inspiring how he overcame his gingerness to become a photographer in Arizona. It's a great story. I love that story.
Fuck's sake, this is gonna suck. All right, Tony, let us know how you got started. What was your previous life like before you were a photographer, and how did you transition into being a full-time photographer?
My previous life, I was a poor ginger boy on the streets of Gingerville.
See, told you guys.
Oliver Taafe over here.
Oliver Taafe. Yeah. No, so I grew up in England, and in England I used to sell cars. I used to work for Audi and Bentley. I got the opportunity to move to LA to sell cars, to sell Audis, to work for an Audi dealership in Santa Monica. And so they were going to sponsor me for a visa because I'd won like awards and stuff like that back home. They were going to sponsor me for the visa.
Hold on. What sort of awards? What sort of awards have you won, Tony?
Like sales awards, like national sales awards and stuff like that. And so Audi in Santa Monica were going to sponsor me for a visa. So I moved over like on the spot. The visa was taking months and months to come through. So I had to make some money. So I bought a cheap camera, cheap lens, never taken a photo in my life, ever. And then I literally used to get in my car every morning and drive around LA looking for things to photograph. And then I became okay at that and sell to like newspapers and stuff, websites and all that. So yeah, I became okay at that. And then you bored me. You want me to...
No, I hear you. I just need to close my windows. Sorry. Because people are outside. Go on. I'm very interested. Karaminder's falling asleep, apparently. Great co-host, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a host? This is news.
So I became okay at it, and then I got a job at a news agency, and then started taking headshots about 4 years ago. And
very cool.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part of this whole story is that you've taken this business opportunity and absolutely exploded with it. Like you went to the moon with it. Like you're doing so well, and you're actually helping. And it's great that you have a sales background because you're actually helping other photographers improve their sales. How are you doing that?
So I over time I developed like this method that I use. Peter named it the TNT method, and it's kind of stuck.
When you say Peter, you're talking about Peter Hurley?
That Peter.
Okay.
That's the guy.
That's the one. Go on.
When we talk about TNT, what does it stand for, Tony?
I don't know. What's it stand for?
Tony's nifty titties.
That's not what it stands for.
I know it doesn't.
No, it doesn't stand. It doesn't have. It doesn't stand for anything. The tagline is that it'll blow up your business. Right?
Yeah.
Tagline.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. So people make money from it. You guys make money from it, right? You guys are both.
I made some change.
You guys, yeah. You guys have both adopted it and are making more money from it.
Can I just say we've adopted it fully? There's no modified. There's no hybrid. No, pure TNT. 100% pure organic, homegrown, Liverpudlian steel TNT.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. And let me follow that. So Tony, can you give us a quick, like real quick, you don't need to give us the full, like spill all the beans, but can you give us like 2 beans of what the TNT method is, essentially for photographers?
2 beans.
2.
So the TNT method is basically something that streamlines your process when you are with a client. It takes away packages. You have a session fee and a per image fee. Streamlines the process for you, streamlines the process for the client, takes away obstacles to buy, which I believe as headshot photographers and probably as photographers in general, we put these obstacles in the way of clients. There's this is a quick description because there's a ton of detail behind it.
Can we just say really quick, Tony, there's a full video on the Headshot Crew where you can watch the Tony spell out TNT method for you. So plug that too, Tony. Let them know that they can.
Well, yeah, that video is cool. It's was it like 10 minutes long?
Something like that.
It's about 10 minutes long, something like that, and it's a really good overview. Goes over some really good points. But we're about to film a full tutorial for it, which is going to be a couple of hours long, and that's going to have all of the little details that are going to make a big difference for people. So yeah, the video on the crew is really good as an overview, but the full tutorial is going to be the gold.
Very cool. Very cool. And okay, so let's talk about this, and I want to open up the conversation to everybody because obviously Tony is a very sales-oriented man and he knows a lot about this. Why do you think photographers aren't focusing on sales as much as they do on, camera gear and lighting and all that? Like, I think that sales is like the last thing the photographers are focusing on, where it shouldn't be the last thing, right? Like they should start focusing on sales.
Let me get in on this.
You could do whatever
because you said
you
opened it up for everybody. You really just meant me.
I mean, as a co-host, you've said 3 sentences so far, and it's all been jibber jabber.
No, it's not. Well, actually, no, you're probably right. Okay, let's move on. So I think for people who are photographers who are just not focused on sales yet, they're always focused on what they're lacking. So let's say their images aren't good, so they're working on technique and how to get it better. If their gear's not good, then that's even further. It sets them even further back of like, gotta upgrade my gear, gotta get better gear that can get me to that level. Because I even worked with a photographer whose gear was holding her back, and actually she was one of your wingies, Pedro, and you helped her over Skype and couldn't figure things out, and it was just because her gear, like you would adjust the power of her strobe. Nah, still full power. That strobe was disrespectful to whatever your commands were. It just didn't care. Oh, you want 1/8 power? Oh, hell no. Here you go. Full 1-on-1 power. There you go. Boom. Deal with that. So the point is that exactly. So equipment can hold you back. So once you get past equipment, then you're like trying to do connection, right? Trying to get like connection in a headshot and trying to make the best shots you can. And once you do that and you're an associate, I feel like a weight is then lifted, and then you can worry about everything else. You can worry about, all right, sales, your website, stuff like that, just sales and stuff like that. That's what I feel. I feel like people aren't confident about their stuff yet. And once they are, then boom, TNT method.
But do you feel like they are doing this, like, is it supposed to be that way? Are you supposed to be focusing on all the technical shit and then moving on to sales? Because I feel like by the time that you focus on all that. Now you've got to play catch up to all the sales techniques that you need to learn.
No, Pedro, I don't think that's a good mindset to say you got to play catch up. Because I think people learn in different ways. Some people can do they can push on all fronts that way, like a little bit of technical here, a little bit of sales here. And I think some people are a bit more focused, and no, I don't want to say they're like laser focused. They're like, okay, let me just focus on this goal first, and then I can get to this goal. And I think Tony's nodding his head. I think stepping like a ladder that's stepping and you achieve one rung and then you graduate to the next, and then this is where you open up to. Because once I remember, Pedro, once we hit associate, all we talked about was business at that point. We didn't really talk camera gear other than like, hey, it's a new product. Does it work well? That's it. That's all we talk about gear wise. Then it's always about sales technique, how we run our businesses better, how to automate things better. We all just became businessmen after associates.
Tony, what do you think about this?
I think that photography attracts technical-minded people. I think the majority of photographers I know who are maybe not full-time photographers who have another job as well, they're very technical-minded people. And that's where they feel comfortable, and it's where they put most of their energy into the technical side of photography. Obviously, the technical side of photography is huge. Me personally, I'm not technical at all. You guys know. Like, it's a miracle that I know what a fucking f-stop is. Like, I know what I need to know, and I kind of really, really focus on that. And I know you're nodding your head, and you guys give me shit for it all the time. But it's helped me in terms of like not stay in my lane, but like go with the niche. Do you know what I mean? And not really get distracted by anything else. I can put all my energy and all my time into getting these couple of things really, really right. And I also don't have a very, I don't feel like I have a very artistic brain either, creative brain. And so again, like, I don't have these urges to try all this fucking amazing shit that you guys try. Like, I just don't have the urge. And I will do at some point, and I will like go into that at some point, but I want to be really, really good at this first. And by this, I don't just mean headshot photography. I mean the business side of it as well. Like, my mind isn't like trying to do 10 things at once. And I think that's when you're both creative and technical, or one or the other. Your mind is just trying to do too much. You have these fucking urges to either be technically perfect or creatively able to do a million different things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have neither, so it works out for me. And
you do have biceps, Tony. So you got.
That's true. That's true. You do spend a good amount of time in the gym.
Mate, I haven't, last couple of months, man. I haven't been able to.
Tony, you're losing your sense of self.
I've been physically injured.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
You know, you might.
We know
Tony's
about
back. Tony's on the mend.
I had an injury from.
Tony's on the mend.
What was it from, Tony? Sorry.
It was from an injury.
You had an injury.
An injury from an injury.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Total sense.
All right, let's pull this back. So the reason why I think this topic is very interesting is because my opinion is, I obviously think that creativity and technical ability is very important, and I'll be the first one to admit that. But it is my opinion that, and you see this all the time, photographers that learn, or artists in general, like artists that learn what they need to instead of learning everything, like learning every aspect of their craft. So photographers that learn what they need to start running a business and then focus on sales and focus on marketing and all that, they are massively successful compared to photographers who focus on all the technical and all the artistry, and then they start wanting to sell, and then they get frustrated because nobody buys my images, which
I'm going to push back a little bit on that, Pedro, because I know photographers who are they are practiced, they're mastering their skill of what they do, and they get kind of opportunities from that. And it's basically just a different business model that they either sell their images or they these like commercial photographers who always have their campaigns and email blasts to art buyers, and then they're the ones that hire them. The art buyers hire them to do these like 5-figure jobs that you get like 3 or 4 or 5 a year.
These are very experienced, very talented. They've done all that. They've done all that groundwork. They've laid those foundations 10, 15, 20,
Oh yeah.
30 years ago, and now they're so good that kind of stuff comes natural. And, they didn't do that in the first 2 weeks. They laid the foundations first, and this now allows them to, they put the, they did the shitty work, which is not that fun. And now they get to enjoy themselves a little bit more by doing this awesome stuff. And I think that's what, I think that you have to have a foundation. You have to. Like, you've got to be really, really good at something before you start trying to be good at everything.
Right, but my point is, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Karaman, you mentioned like email, like campaign blasts and stuff. They are putting in that work. They are putting in that marketing work and that the sales work. Obviously, they did all they learned everything that they needed to learn to make these efforts in terms of sales and marketing now. But what I feel is a lot of photographers nowadays are focused on the technical and are focused on the artistry, and they leave the sales and the marketing behind.
To be fair, Pedro, I'm going to say this. You are a tremendous help in the Headshot crew, and I know that you are surrounded by people who are asking for help. So I think your viewpoint may be a little skewed because you're such a wonderful person to help people who have questions, right? But I'm saying that I think your viewpoint is skewed because of that. Because I don't feel that way.
Because you're dealing with working professionals.
But I'm just saying that what we have in Headshot Crew, what we teach, TNT method, is very much a business model that is catered business to consumer. And then business to business once we go with a company that hires us. That's still a little business to consumer because the business is still a consumer. You don't really partner with them. But that's kind of how I feel about that business model.
I'm confused about that statement.
Well, because you're saying that people don't focus enough on sales. That's kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the premise.
And either people can either do it. I said this earlier. Either people focus on one thing at a time, but they're just focused on, like, when they're helping. Are they going to ask you about sales, or are they going to ask you more about technical and connection with client?
Both. We have people that, in the crew, you have people that ask about one thing, and then you have people, I would say most people are asking about technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But even going beyond the crew, like look at tutorial companies like Kelby One or Pro EDU. Most of the stuff is technical, or technical tutorials, like how to do this, how to light this, how to do this in Photoshop, how to do whatever. It's very rare that you'll see a really good sales tutorial. Shout out to TNT. It's very rare that you'll see that because photographers are so focused, and that's my opinion. Photographers are so zeroed in on all this technical stuff, and then they get frustrated because they learned all this stuff, and then they're like, okay, let me put all this in a website, and then I'll just wait, and everybody will come.
No, it's work.
Yeah, I don't think, I wouldn't criticize them for it, the photographers. I think that because most of the photography information out there is technical stuff, then they're consumed by that, and they're kind of they're not being prompted to think ahead. So, okay, when I'm a good photographer, what do I do then? I think that's where I can help with this method in terms of keeping that even at the back of people's minds of, okay, even when you can take a photo, you're still going to have to be able to run a business. Whereas now nobody's really given that information. No one's prompting them to think about that. And so why would they? Like the experts out there for their own good reasons are not teaching that stuff. So why would people think about it? Can
I provide some market data as to why there's so much more technical, tutorials than there are business tutorials.
Sure, give us the data.
Because think of it this way, it's like a little bit of a pyramid, right? So you have at the very top, you have your top photographers that, the ones we look up to, your, was it? I can't remember their names right now, but like Platon, right? Like at the top of his game, right? Annie Leibovitz. These are like at the very tip of the top of the pyramid, right? And at the very bottom, you kind of have like amateurs, hobbyists, someone who went to Costco, bought a camera because they're having a baby. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a crowd. Well, typically, I feel like there's a lot of cameras that are purchased when a baby is being introduced into a family, that they want to capture the baby.
Sure.
Capture the baby in photos, not any other way. Don't be weird, guys. Don't be weird, guys. But no, listen.
Yeah, we're not caging babies over here.
So the amount of people, the amount of percentage in this pyramid is that this is the bottom. There's so many people that are like, all right, I'll spend $59, $99 on a tutorial, Creative Live, RGG, wherever, just to kind of get to know how to do this more. And then from there, then people, perhaps they're a bit more serious, they're better, and then they graduate to another level. And probably that's where they join, let's say, Headshot Crew. And then that's where they probably design, or they decide like, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this, I can start a business. And then that's another level that they're up higher. So the percentage of people, let's say you make a product and you want to make a good profit at it, you want to kind of target the biggest market you can, not necessarily a very small niche market. Because if you do a small niche market, then in order to make money, your product has to be higher priced. So let's say if your business teaching product is $4.99, but your how to get started in photography is $99. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes actually might be the most single piece of useful information I've ever heard from you in my whole life.
I've never heard
actually
Chairman
really
say
good.
something so useful.
You're welcome, guys.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
So now
No,
we
that makes perfect
have
sense.
30 more
I think
years. Go ahead, Tony.
He's right. I think he's spot on. I think he's spot on.
And do you think it's ever gonna? Do you think that at some point, photographers are gonna start to realize that, oh shit, like I should probably focus more on sales than I do?
No, I think they do realize that, but like Karaminda says, they only realize that when they want to make a business out of it. The people who want to make a business out of it is a much smaller percentage than people who call themselves photographers. They're still photographers, but they're not necessarily looking to make a business out of it. Or I think a big part of it's a mindset thing, and maybe they just don't believe they can make a business out of it, and they're happy doing their job, their regular job. So yeah, I think photographers do realize that, but they only realize it when they need that information, and a lot of photographers don't need that information.
Agreed.
But a lot do, more than enough do for us to be given that information.
Like Pedro, what about when you're a student and you go to high school, then you go to uni? At what point in uni do you worry about getting a job? After you graduate? Some of the smarter ones do it while they're still going to school, but the majority finish school, then they look for a job.
Well, I'm not the best person to ask regarding that.
Why is that, Pedro? I'm just kidding. I feel like I'm throwing you under the bus. Don't answer. Tony.
He's also a horrible person to ask.
Fine. As someone with a bachelor's degree.
I didn't go to university either.
I went and I dropped out.
I didn't even cross my mind.
Hey, to be fair, I dropped out for 5 years, did a business, it failed, went back to school, graduated, then I was trying to find a job and I couldn't, then I picked up a camera and then started doing this stuff. That's what I did.
So why don't you answer your own question?
Fine. So when you have so much time dedicated to school and doing homework that it is difficult. Like even I had a part-time job, but that was not in the industry or field. And I feel like my better my better college mates, they got, say, internships. They were hip to it and they were wise. They got internships and they were already working in the field as they were graduating. And some of them I don't need to graduate. I don't need to spend all this money, get all this debt. And they just kept working. And that's good for them. But majority waited till they finished and graduated, then did the job hunt.
Okay. And you feel like that's the right move?
It's a move. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
Right. Okay.
I would never tell you guys that it's the wrong thing not to go to university. No, hell no. You're a grown ass man. You decide. You decide what you want to do.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So Another topic. What do you feel is one of the main mistakes that photographers make when it comes to sales or marketing?
I feel like, Pedro, you feel like they're not doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Your mistake is.
I think that's what it is. I think they're not doing it.
Yeah, they're not focusing on it, right?
Yeah, or like I see photographers who still talk about printing leaflets out, and I'm sure that there's a market somewhere that would work in. But generally, like I think so. One of the things I think people do a lot is they think, not think too small, but they think about their next job they're gonna get, rather than thinking about what the next 10 years or the next 5 years of the business is going to look like. So they're trying to do all they can. They're putting a lot of energy into getting, oh, if I do this job for this person, they have a contact in this company and I might get, like it's small thinking. I think, whereas I don't think many people are building a brand. I don't think many people are thinking about what impression they want to give, what message they want to give. I think people are trying to get individual jobs. They're not trying to build a business. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like I speak to people and they say, what have you been up to? And they'll say, oh, well, I've been speaking to this person who's spoken to someone on the phone 10 times in the hope that they get this job, which might lead to that job, which is fine to do, as long as at the same time you have in mind what your business is going to be doing in 5 years' time, and like what kind of, don't just try and get any clients. Obviously, any client is great, but don't have an idea in mind of what who your client is. How you're going to attract those kind of people over a period of time. I mean, does this make sense? Am I just waffling on?
No,
Like
sense.
in my mind, it's really clear, but I've tried to explain this to people before, and I just think people think about the individual client rather than their own brand and their own business. Like, what are you trying to say with your brand? Because what you're trying to say will determine who you attract. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a big mistake.
I'm going to ask you to elaborate. So when you say people are focusing on the client, their next client, instead of focusing on their brand, what is it that they're not doing that would be focusing on the brand? So how do you build the brand is the question, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I've spoken to very, very few photographers who've done a brand outline, who know what colors they want to use and why they want to use them, who know, like for me, for example, I often use myself for a
please
so
use yourself.
I look at like high-end, usually fashion brands, as people to draw inspiration from. The reason for that is not because I particularly like a specific high-end fashion brand, but I want to attract the same clients that they're attracting. So if you look at like Chanel, for example, they have 2 or 3 very simple colors in their brand. Everything is very simple. Do you know what I mean? They're nothing, like, they don't over explain shit. Like, they know they believe in what they sell, and so they're not telling everybody on their website which country the leather comes from or which factory, or like they might say like hand stitch or some basic stuff like that. They don't do sales. They will not put anything on sale. Things like that, that like you have to think of, okay, who are my clients? Who do I want my clients to be? Where are they already shopping? And what can I draw from them to put into my business that will help me attract those clients? I speak to very few photographers who've done anything like that, who've even thought about it. And that's building a brand instead of just trying to get somebody through the door. Because if you're constantly trying to get somebody through the door, you're going to be working so fucking hard. It's going to be so stressful, and it's never going to end. If you build a brand, eventually it works for you. Do you know what I mean? The brand does the work for you. I believe in that a lot. sales and marketing are really important, but a big part of that is building your brand. If you don't have a brand, what are you marketing? What are you trying to sell? I don't know, you know?
And by brand, you also mean reputation, right?
Yeah, everything. You're the whole package. The whole package. Yeah.
Karen Bender, what do you think about this?
So I remember this from like marketing class, where you have different demographics of people, basically categories of people, and how much they earn and where they spend their time and their money, and essentially where does your product fit in with that. And people say you have to understand your market. This is kind of what that means. You have to understand who exactly is buying your product, who's your product for, and then you market to them, meaning just like Tony said, the colors, the language, how you present things. Like you can't have something that's Fisher Price and ask for, like, I don't know, 10 grand for it from a high-end art auction, unless it was like, gosh, Andy Warhol. That's different. I'm getting off topic, but the point is that the way you package your message and the way you package your site, yourself, your business, all that matters to who you're speaking to, who your like perfect client is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm just playing. I agree with both of you said 100%. Just playing devil's advocate here. I guess the problem with that is that it's very. Let me choose. I would say it's very subjective. For the lack of a better word, it's very subjective in the way that it sounds great, but you don't see the results immediately. That's my point. Is that maybe that's why some people struggle with that, is because that will give you great results in the long run. As Tony said before, that's a move if you're thinking 10 years ahead. But for somebody that wants the results now,
Well,
you have to plant seeds.
Doing what you're doing, yeah.
You have to plant seeds.
Like,
It's if it was that quick, Pedro, everybody would be doing it.
of course.
and also so if you want results now, then go and chase those clients like a madman, but build your brand at the same time. And then you get the best of both. You can. I'm not saying don't chase. I hope it didn't sound like I was saying don't spend a lot of time chasing clients, because I'll absolutely do that. I do that. You have to, but you have to be doing something long term at the same time. If you're only chasing those clients, then that's all you're ever going to be doing, and you're never going to make much money doing that, because you're always going to be discounting. You're always going to seem desperate to get people in the door. Like, discounting drives me crazy when I see photographers discount the work.
Oh yeah. I saw one yesterday, Tony.
So many do it.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. I saw one yesterday. I was like, I scrolled right past it. They said that, hey, I'm here and I'm gonna offer a discount because someone else canceled, and I'm like, okay, I can't. That just cheapens your brand. Like, what are you doing?
It cheapens your brand, but also it's lazy.
Oh.
If you're discounting is the laziest, easiest, cheap, most expensive way for you to get people in the door.
What if we said this, Tony?
That's crazy.
What if we said this? Hey, I'm Chanel. I've just sold 8 bags at this price, but I've got this 1 bag left, and if you buy it within the next 24 hours, I'll take off. I'll be 50% off. How does that make Chanel look?
Chanel would rather throw it away.
Oh yeah, burn it. Just be like, no.
Yeah, they burn it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's a terrible example, because those kind of companies, they have terrible business practices. But just as an idea,
as does Caraminder.
If we want to be attracting these same clients, then we have to look at these people who've been doing it for years and years, and who are really, really successful doing it. What are you laughing at?
Yeah, what's going on?
Sorry.
Who broke you?
Sorry, I broke myself. I just had a joke come into my head, but it's a bit inappropriate, so let's just move on.
Yeah, stop discounting. Any photographer, please stop discounting. It's lazy, and you should have more respect for yourself than that.
Use that time to market, follow up emails, work on yourself. Mental health, right, Tony? Like, can we just talk about mental health for a second?
Sure.
Just for a quick second. Like Tony, I feel like for your mental health, what you do, you go to the gym twice a day. I mean, right now you're injured because of an injury. But your thing is you go to the gym twice a day, yeah? And that's like how you blow off steam and just chill out. Pedro, what do you do for your mental health?
I'm a huge DIY guy, so I build, like I make drums, or I paint backdrops, or I paint or build Apple boxes. I just love building stuff and painting stuff with my own hands. What about you, Karaminder? What is it that you do for mental health?
Gym and video games. Spend time with my girlfriend. That's about it.
Yeah, my girlfriend doesn't let me do video games anymore.
Ooh. Well, that's okay.
I am whipped.
This is true.
Anyway. So let me ask you.
And the reason why I bring that up is because when I see photographers who are like, they just keep pushing and struggling, and sometimes just take a break, look after yourself, and maybe something either clicks, but then you feel better. And when you feel better, I feel like you do much better work, you do much better marketing, you're more focused and clear. That's kind of the gist of what I wanted to talk about, or summarize with what looking after your mental health is. That's all.
That's actually a good topic to talk about pricing as well, because a lot of people are like, and Karaminder has used an expression that's like get out of bed money. Like how much?
Oh yeah.
How? All right. Why don't you talk about that?
Well, get out of bed money is like once you start, and when you first start, your get out of bed money rate is pretty low. Like, I'll get out of bed for $50. Oh, now, and then once you do that for a while, you're like, I'm not going to get out of bed for $75. And then you do that, and then you're like, I'm not getting out of bed for $100. And then it keeps growing, essentially. And then you reach a number where you're like, yeah, I'll get out of bed. Like, my studio is 45 minutes away, driving or on a train, doesn't matter. It's 45 minutes to an hour away. And I have a rate that even if someone booked me at the session rate, that I'm going to go out there, I'm going to shoot one client, and then I'm going to head back. And that's okay. I don't need to shoot 2, 3. And it's great when I do. Whenever I have like more than 2 shoots in a day, I'm like, this is like bonus money. I do my money dance. This is great. But your get out of bed rate is really just like, I'm not going to do it for that low. I'm not going to do it for that amount of money. Just because I just internally probably don't even feel motivated. Like, I'm not going to do it. But your get out of bed rate is how much money you're willing to accept to get out of bed and do that. Just that.
The reason why I bring this up, and I think this is very important for people to realize, is that, and I don't know if I've talked about this in the past, in past podcasts or whatever, but, and this ties in with what Karaminder was talking about, mental health and giving yourself some time or whatever. You need to understand this, like everything in this world is interchangeable and is limited. Like, I mean, everything is quote unquote unlimited. Like, let's talk about money. You make money, you spend money. Like, money comes and goes. Relationships come and go. Is Karaminder frozen for you too? Oh no, he's back. Anyway, money comes and goes. Relationships come and go. There's one thing that's very limited in your life, and that's time, right? So it's the most valuable thing you have. And yet people spend time, like they waste time, like it's nothing. So like your time is very valuable, guys. So if you're going to charge somebody to do something, like figure out what your time is worth, and it should be worth a lot, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was. I was wondering why you were bringing it up, but that makes total sense. Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah. So, and I see this happen more often with people who have who are working out of a home studio or something. They're thinking, I'm in my living room. It's not like I have a huge overhead or whatever, so I could just, charge a few bucks and be done with it. But that's still like that time is still valuable. And once again, if you're undercharging, if you're charging too little, then you're establishing your brand. Once again, what Tony was talking about, you're establishing your brand as just a cheap bullshit.
So I think this is really easy for us to say to people, and I've just said it myself, and I'm catching myself, just saying to people, stop discounting, and that's it. You know, like it's easy for us to say that. It's not so easy if you're in a position where you feel like you need to discount. It's not easy to not discount. So what I would do if I was in that position, I'd try and think about why I'm having to discount. You know, and it might be something that's an easy fix, and it might be something that's not an easy fix. You know, location, your brand, the quality of your work, the clients who tend to be coming into your door, competition, all of that kind of stuff has to be thought about. And so the reason I'm saying this is because I don't want somebody to listen to this and just be like, well, it's easy to say that. But, you know, we also have to have empathy for somebody who feels like they need to discount and not just be saying, don't do that. But what I would do if I was in that position, I'd kind of take stock of everything and figure out what I'm doing wrong. Because I think if you have to discount, you're doing something wrong. And you have to take responsibility for that. You can't blame it on all of those things that I've just mentioned. Even though they're factors, you can't blame it on competition. You can't blame it on location because that's just not productive. So I would take stock, and it might mean, you know, changing the business model up. It might mean, you know, trying to actively target a different audience, a different clientele, whatever. But find a way to not have to discount, because it will kill your business. 100%. It's not a good model.
100% agree with that, Tony. Thank you for that. May I summarize a kind of a different way of describing that? Like when you start out, you're just a guy. Like we're in a kind of a commodity business of headshot photography. You're just a guy, and then you build up, you get a reputation, then you become that guy. Right? That's pretty good. That's you're getting better, and then you keep working until you become the guy.
The guy.
And once you're the guy is not discount. And also, I should say the gal. Apply everything in the gal as well. I don't want to make it all sexist, but
The human.
no, it doesn't work. You know, you're a human, you're that human, and then you're the human. Then
Still
you're
works.
just human. That's me.
Jesus.
But no, that's the point. Is when you discount, you're at the you're basically telling yourself you're just going to be a guy, because then you're just battling on price, and then it doesn't really matter who you are; it just matters who's the cheapest, and that's what a guy does.
It also stinks of desperation too. Like if you keep discount, like let's say this. Let's say that you go on Facebook and you see a local business that just keeps putting out discounts. Just, oh, this week 50% off. Oh, next month we're gonna have a buy one get two, like whatever. Like it just, oh God, these people are trying so hard. They're going through some shit. Like what you think when you see that, it's what other people think when they see your discounts.
Yeah.
I will also say this as well. If you use this as an example, so having a background in sales, I will try and get a discount wherever I can. So if I go into a store that has a sale on, I'll try and discount. Absolutely. Because I know they're fluid with the pricing. I would never in a million years go into a Chanel again store and try and get a discount, because it's not happening. It's not, and you will look stupid. Like this goes back to the brand. Like don't make yourself the sales, you know, the person who puts sales on all the time. Be the high-end person who's making a shitload of money and giving a really good product and creating a lot less work for yourself, by the way, because people who shop on discounts are a pain in the arse.
Oh my
They
God.
are a pain in the arse.
Yeah. Oh yes. I'll say this: raising my prices. At the beginning of the year, thing ever. I just dealt with less picky people, I suppose. Just people who are like, "Yep, I get it. There you go. Let's do it. Get it done."
Just people who know what they want. They know value, and they're not worried about saving $100. It's not a big deal, you know. And that's not a financial status thing. That's just
It's a mindset. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah. I don't want to seem like saying, oh, people who have money are better. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that people who are not trying to penny pinch are just easier to work with.
Yeah.
And it's also better for your business too, because those people give you good referrals. Like I have never, like, cause I'll speak from experience. I used to be that guy. I used to be that guy who, and then I started listening to Tony. I used to be that guy who gave a lot of discounts and, oh, I know so-and-so, can you do a shoot for me? Sure. Oh, cause they said that you gave him a great rate. I was like, okay, yeah, I could do it for you as well. And whenever people give you referrals in that mindset, it's always bad juju. Like I don't want to say always, but most of the times you're going to get people with the same mindset as the people who ask for discounts. You're going to get more and more people like that. Whereas if you get yourself out of that zone and you go after people who they appreciate quality, you're going to get more people that appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. You attract the type of people who you want to work with.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Last but not least, Tony, if you had one, other than do not discount, but if you had one sales tip for somebody who was starting a business from scratch, what would it be?
One sales tip. Man, know when to ask. No, that's not. Know the right time to ask them, and this is TNT. Know the right time to ask them how many images they want, because if you ask them at the right time, it makes a huge difference versus if you ask them at the wrong time. Huge. And this is I can't do anything but refer to TNT. I'd love to go into more depth than that, but it'd take a while. The video again that we're going to be doing in a few weeks, so it'll be ready in 6 weeks or so.
Don't please, for God's sake.
How long are you going to take? What deadline can I put on it for you?
I can't. I don't know.
Anyway, no. And anyway, so that when that's ready, which is going to be some point in the near future.
Yes.
It's going to have.
I'm editing it, so you could say near future. If it was Caraminder, then it was undetermined.
Undetermined. TBD.
TBD.
TBD is probably the best thing you've ever seen. So there's that.
Yeah. So anyway, in that there's going to be a lot of good information. There's going to be how to structure your sessions. It's going to be removing those obstacles to buy it. It'll be explaining the obstacles, explaining how to remove them, what to replace them with, and really, really importantly is asking them how many images they want at the right time. That alone will make you money. It will. There is no doubt. There's a really, really bad time to ask people how many images they want, and I think 90% of headshot photographers are asking them at the worst possible time right now, just through habit, just because that's what other people are doing, just because that's the way it used to be done. And yeah, figuring out the best time to ask them would be my number one tip. And just while we're on the subject, again, you guys have made money from this method, right?
Yeah, sure.
A lot of photographers who've adopted this are making money. Peter's adopted it. You guys have adopted it. John Glover's adopted it. Mike Schacht, Ryan. There's a ton of people who've adopted it. There's some variations on it, and for some people, for some people, small variations on it is not a bad thing, because essentially what it's about is communicating with people and communicating with people effectively and in a way that is good for them as well as good for us. And we all communicate slightly differently. And so there's small adjustments that are going to be made, which is fine. But essentially people who have adopted this method are making quite a bit more money from it.
Very cool.
So look out for it. There's going to be a lot of really good sales stuff in there.
Yeah.
Very cool. And that's coming down the pike, guys. So be on the lookout.
One more thing. On my website in the next day or so, there's going to be an option for photographer coaching for the TNT method. So you can do one-on-one coaching with me. So anyone who's listening to, who's interested in it, who wants to do one-on-one stuff, go onto my website and let me know. And don't copy my website, because everyone's who's changing to this method is like, I got an email the other day from some guy who said, I think he was innocent, but it was like funny. He said, I just so you know, I've copied your website. I hope you take it as the form of flattery it's meant.
Not flattering,
I
guys.
haven't even responded to him yet. I don't know what to say to him. It's not flattering. It's theft.
That's theft. Yes. Anyway, so don't do that, guys. Don't steal.
And it also will kill your SEO. Will it hurt my SEO if people do that?
That's
a little
my
bit.
chat question.
It
I
just
think.
says.
Can
Yeah,
I'll add to that, Tony. You know how you hear the quote, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery?
That's some bullshit right there.
Well, hold on. People just say that and they don't actually say the rest of the quote. So the full quote is, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That mediocrity can pay to greatness.
Jesus.
All right, guys. You have a good night.
Okay.
That was from Oscar Wilde, everybody.
Jesus Christ. Okay, Caraminder. Thanks for calling people mediocre. It's always great. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
And then I
you're
call
here.
Tony greatness.
I mean, Tony is great. I mean, have you seen this man? All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm so glad the podcast is back. Now, we're not gonna do this every single week. We're gonna do this when we get to it, okay? Now, because here's the problem. Now I have to orchestrate this with Caraminder or Caraminder, however you wish to
Caraminder's fine.
Okay, whatever. Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a wonderful rest of a day. And
Thanks, fellas. Catch you later.
bye-bye. See you on the next one, guys.
Bye.